The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
Greetings and welcome to Jamel Hardtman Unfiltered. This is a Bermudian-focused talk show discussing things that should matter with people who do. Tonight, we're going to be discussing the role wealth plays in politics, the PLP Leadership Challenge, what the result could mean for Bermuda. But first, just want to put a question out there to the audience. Do you believe that political power is stronger than economic power? Like, what are your thoughts? Do you think that, do you believe that political power is needed? Sorry, economic power is needed for political power. That's your question. We're going to start with, again, if you're just joining, welcome to Jamel Hardtman Unfiltered. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't already. So question is, do you believe that economic power and wealth are needed to have political power? That's the question that you'll see. Do you believe that economic power and wealth are needed to have political power? We're going to start there tonight, and I just want to break it down because based on the structure of where we are and the kind of government we have, Westminster system, I'm not quite sure that the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party will ever be able to deliver for Bermuda and Bermudians, especially their base, based on the system we live within. And why do I say that? Well, I shared this article with a few people over the last week, and I'm just going to share a bit of it with you. So tonight we'll speak about the wealth and politics, and then we'll speak about the leadership challenge and what it means for Bermuda, regardless of what the result is. But there's an article basically in 1980, a man in Zimbabwe said he'll never forget what a white man told him, right? So just to give you backstory on this is this man went and found this white police officer in Zimbabwe who had arrested him back in the 60s on murder charges. He basically said that, the black people took over and he wanted to find this white police officer. And basically, I'm going to read from the article what was said. He said, "Superintendent, you said to me after you had finished your investigation that you were going to hang all of us. You were wrong. You did not hang all of us. You said that though we were good fighters, we would not win. You were wrong, Superintendent. We have won. We are in power now. I told you that good fighters do win." Well, the superintendent then says, "So you think you won? What have you won? Tell me. I need to know." He says, "We have won everything, Superintendent. In case you haven't noticed, everything. We have," listen to it now, "we have a black president, prime minister, black cabinet, black members of parliament, judges, chiefs of police, and the army. Everything, Superintendent. I came all the way came all the way to come and ask you to apologize to me for telling me that good fighters do not win. You were wrong, Superintendent, were you not?" Well, Superintendent basically said to him, "I'm sorry to spoil your happiness, sir, but you have not won anything. You have political power, yes, but that is all. We control the economy of the country. Everybody's stability depends on everybody's livelihood, right? Including the lives of those who boast that they have political power, you and your victorious friends. Maybe I should tell you something, the superintendent says, something about us white people. I think you deserve it too, seeing how you kept this nonsense warm in your head for 13 years in prison. He basically told him, when we planted our flag in place, where we built this city in 1877, we planned for this time. We planned for when the Africans would rise up against us and perhaps defeat us by sheer numbers and insurrection. When that time came, we decided the African should not be in a position to rule his newly found country without taking his cue from us. We should continue to rule even after political power has been snatched from us. He asked, how did you plan to do that, my dear superintendent? And he replied to the gentleman, very simple, very simple. We started by changing the country we took from you to a country that you will find many centuries later. When you gain political power, it would be totally unlike the country your ancestors lived in. It would be a new country. Let us start with agriculture. We introduced methods of farming that were not known in Africa, where people dug a hole in the ground, covered it up, and soil went to sleep under a tree in the shade. We made agriculture a science. To farm our way, an African needed to understand soil types, the fertilizers, the type soil required, and which crops to plant on what type of soil. We kept the knowledge of the African how to farm scientifically on a scale big enough to contribute strongly to the national economy. We did this so that when the African demands and gets his land back, he should not be able to farm it like we do. He would then be obliged to beg us to teach him how. Is that not power? All right. He then said we industrialized the country, factories, mines, together with agricultural output, became the mainstay of the new economy, but controlled and understood only by us. We kept the knowledge of all forms from you people, the skills required to run such a country successfully. It is not because Africans are stupid, because they do not know what to do with the industrialized country. We just excluded the African from this knowledge and kept them in the dark. I'm going to stop there. The reason I'm going to stop there is those in the audience, am I making sense yet? Am I making sense as to why it's going to be difficult for the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party to actually do what their base needs them to do, to govern in a manner that's going to help their base? See, what that article is basically saying is political power is nothing without economic power. It's nothing without economic power. I don't know how to say it any other way, but political power is nothing without economic power. Anyone in the audience, do you believe that economic power and wealth are needed to have political power? What are your thoughts? Because based on this, it makes sense. It makes sense as to why we're in the space that we're in. It makes a lot of sense as to why the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party has not been able to deliver for its base. No, I'm not. So how do we solve this problem? Because we're about solutions. How do we solve this problem? How do we get people to change our mindsets to actually turn that political power into wealth, into economic power? How do we do that? Because since 1998, take away 2012 to 2017, we haven't done a good job of it. When I say we, the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party, the government of the day, and the people who put them there, which is us, we have not done a good job of creating a space of economic power for the base. I'm not saying to take away from white or wealthy people. No. That's not what I'm suggesting. But has the PLP done enough to empower Black Bermudians. Where's the Black-owned Bermudian bank? The Black-owned grocery chain. The major Black-owned insurance company. Where are they? So when we talk about politics and winning, I think we finally need to get to a place to understand that winning an election is not winning power. Winning an election has very little to do with power when it's politics in Bermuda. Just think about it. Most recently, what was that bill that had to get royal assent? A cannabis bill, whether we like it or not. Now, let me be clear again. This conversation is not to give the PLP a pass at all. If anything, it's to get people to wake up and understand that they keep selling you dreams or nightmares, however you want to look at it. Now, the PLP as government are responsible for legislation and policies that will empower their base to be in position to do these things. So it begs the question, can the PLP as a government truly deliver as a political entity for its base? Can they? And based on that story I shared with you about what happened over in Africa, in Zimbabwe, based on the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party as government from 1998 through 2012, and then again 2017 up until today, I'm not quite sure the PLP have the power to create the economic state for their base to succeed. Yeah, here's a tax break here and there. Here's some money to help small entrepreneurs. But what's the success rate of the entrepreneurs that have been created? Are they booming? Folks, this conversation right here, you got to think deep beyond the surface. Seriously. Think about it. What are we voting for when we're voting for them? Because political power without economic power is nothing. Which brings me to the leadership challenge. Now, there's a quote often attributed, I believe, to Albert Einstein about doing the same thing over and over and being insanity, right? If we continue to vote in people who do the same thing over and over, I'm not even sure we want different results. We actually enjoy the consequences of our actions for whatever reason. And that's a sickness. That's a sickness. But I want to go because the Royal Gazette did a story based on Mark Bean, the Honorable Mark Bean's appearance on the Daily Hour last Monday. And there were a lot of comments about what the Honorable Mark Bean said, that if David Burt remains Premier of Bermuda, the PLP will lose the next election. And the responses showed how uninformed, uneducated, or naive people are. Mark Bean actually isn't way off. Question, do you agree that the PLP could lose the next election if David Burt remains Premier of Bermuda? Well, we've already discussed that the PLP has done very little without economic power. And if that's the case, why are they the government, right? But now, if the PLP keeps David Burt as their leader, could they lose the next election? Well, let's delve a bit deeper into this. So if you look at the 2020 election, October 2020, everyone's stuck on 30-6, right? 30-6. That was the big number, 30. The PLP won 30 seats and the OBA won 6. But if you really want to understand where the Honorable Mark Bean was coming from, you would go down to voter turnout, total vote count. How many votes did the PLP actually get? How many did the OBA get? And watch me tie it right back. Because I've been saying over and over, the PLP did not win the 2020 election in a landslide based on number of seats they won. Because all of a sudden, OBA supporters voted PLP. No, that didn't happen. Remember how we started this conversation. The PLP won because at the end of the day, those who control the economy are not the politicians. They understand. They will still be successful. They realize the government needs them more than they need the government. So let's look at it. In 2020, the PLP received 15,995 votes. The OBA received 8,314 votes. The FDM received 1,384 votes, and independents received 67 votes. So let's stick on that PLP and OBA, 15,995 votes and 8,314 votes, right? Now let's go to the 2017 election. The PLP had 20,059 votes. The OBA had 13,837 votes. Independents had 169 votes. Now, 20,000 votes, right, to 15,000 something votes. Keep that in mind. Let's go to 2012. 2012, the OBA got 15,949 votes. PLP got 14,217 votes. And independents got 695. Anyone keeping up with where I'm going with this? Folks, the PLP can lose the next election. The PLP can lose the next election. And one of the things that we're not factoring in this, because for some reason, journalists throughout Bermuda just can't find the information. How many people have left Bermuda? And who would those people who've left Bermuda generally vote for? That's a question that needs to be answered. I don't think the idea of the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party losing the next election is too far out there. What I will tell you is that since the PLP won in 1998, it can be argued that they have not delivered for their base. And if you go back to the start of this show, this conversation, this episode, you'll understand what I mean by that. The PLP has no economic power. They have none. No economic power whatsoever. And since 1998, what economic power has been created for Black Bermudians under their watch? I'm not trying to be insulting. But the truth is the truth. The truth is the truth. The PLP could lose its next general election. And it might not be as far-fetched as many may believe. If you understand that winning political elections does not equate to power, then you will completely understand why the PLP governs to get elected, not to empower people. It's interesting. The PLP governs in a manner to maintain power, not to empower people. It's sad, but it's our reality. What are your thoughts, folks in the audience? Yes or no? Do you believe that the PLP could lose the next election? Yes or no? What are your thoughts? Do you believe it can happen? Based on what we've shared tonight, do you believe that the PLP could lose the next election? What are your thoughts? Because I tell you what, Mark Bean, pretty intelligent guy, like him or not. And I do believe he thinks before he speaks, especially in times like that. I'm sure he looked at the numbers and said, yep, this is not far fetched. Nope, this is not far fetched. This could happen too. It's not, folks. Interesting times in Bermuda. Very, very interesting times. And something that we all should be thinking about. I think we all want a better Bermuda. I think we want a space where Bermudians uh, can prosper, especially Black Bermudians, the most vulnerable. I think Black Bermudians deserve a space where they can succeed and be owners of a bank or insurance company or grocery store chain. But Bermudians are focused on politics. And as long as we think that politics is the answer, then our situation will get no better. Remember, politicians want to win elections for different reasons than you want your politician to win it. It's a job to them. It's a job. Let nobody tell you different. Let no one tell you different. Anyway, thanks again for engaging or not, because not many people said anything on this show. But thanks for tuning in to Jamel Hardtman Unfiltered. These conversations are meant to be brainstorming sessions so that we can plan, strategize, and execute a better way for our family, our community, and ourselves. Together, we can contribute to a better Bermuda for all. If all goes well, I'll see you again very soon. Thanks for tuning in for another conversation of Jamel Hardtman Unfiltered. Please do share these conversations so that the information is not just stuck with us, and so that we can, keep things going, so that we can find ways to get to solutions that will help us move forward. All right, Jamel Hardtman, folks, I am out. Peace.